welcome. So this is just going to be kind of a special type of series. Really when the feeling kind of comes over me, we're going to call it the What the Fuck Do I Do series, but really just like, what do I do? You know, I mean, we all get stuck sometimes, and, you know, maybe there's too many options. Maybe there's not enough options. Maybe we don't even see that there's options. Maybe we just need to be given permission to wait. Because I know, you know, like the waiting part is probably the hardest for me. Because I have zero patience. So anyway, so this series, I use these archetype cards because, I feel like the messages that they give are very strong, very to the point, or at least they have been for me. So I know it's going to be the same for you. I have not memorized each card yet. So, I am going to read from the book, so we can at least get an idea of what the archetype energy is and honor that. And then, we'll kind of put a story together. So we're just kind of looking for maybe 3 or 4 cards. Again, we'll kind of take the ones that fall out and we'll see what is the advice. What do we do? Okay, that's Jimmy. What do we do? What do we do? All right, we got 3 cards here. The Poet, the Father, and the Mountain. These cards are so beautiful too. What do we have at the bottom here? We have the Bridge. Interesting. All right, so let's just see. Let's see what the Poet has to say. I feel like I just read about the Poet the other night. Don't ask me to remember anything. I simply cannot. I don't know about y'all, but my capacity to hold on to things and memory has gone out the window since 2020. So we have the Poet's work is to feel immensely and not be afraid. They must seek out truth in the darkest corners of the world and carry it back for all to see. This unique capacity resides within us all, regardless of our relationship to creativity. When the Poet energy is present, there is a call for deep honesty and reflection, for seeing the big picture within the little one. The Poet rides effortlessly between the personal and universal. It's possible that others may not seem to listen or care about the Poet's work, but do not be discouraged. The words of the Poet ring true for centuries. Oh, excuse me. The words of the Poet ring true for centuries to come, soothing the wounds of despair and violence. Soothing the wounds of despair and violence that captivate our world. The Poet's work is never finished. Find your voice and trust that the wind will carry it. The Poet is related to the shaman and the bridge. Ha! Interesting. These archetypes hover in the meeting place between the everyday and the sacred. And then down here it says, when light, clairvoyant, wise, and timeless. When dark, harmful words, sharp tongue, thwarted creativity. Go deeper. Spend 1 hour reading poetry, then 1 more. Interesting. So, of course, like the first thing that just comes to mind is this, you know, to feel deeply and not be afraid. It's so interesting because even the imagery on this card, you know, like you're kind of, it's holding on to this, to me, it kind of looks like a crystal ball. It could be the moon almost, but in the darkness, but there's all this light around it. So to me, this is kind of giving the energy of like, you may be worried about how people perceive you. You might have an idea or an inspiration for something that you want to do, whether, you know, I mean, it mentions creativity specifically in here. And of course, creativity can be literally anything from poetry to, you know, actually using your hands to create something, to writing, to speaking, you know, like it's all creative. So you may be having a hard time, like, being worried about how other people are going to receive something that you want to create and put out into the world. And I feel like, you know, again, with this video being, what do I do? Well, you do it anyway. Like, put it out there, you know, like, not everybody is going to understand everything that we do. And honestly, not everybody needs to anyway. It's like, I saw this TikTok video one time that was saying, it was an artist that, you know, the voiceover was saying, you know, 30 people may not sound like a lot, like getting 30 likes or 30 comments may not sound like a lot. But if 30 people were to walk into my studio right now, that would be overwhelming. So it's like, honestly, like, don't even focus on the details. It's like, just do it, you know, and let your audience find you. So then we have the father. Alongside the mother, the father resides in the central axis of the archetypal family. The father embodies both light and dark aspects of the masculine. Thus, he is infinitely dynamic and complex. His energy is strong and regal, embodying such virtues as honesty, wisdom, and loyalty. Yet, ironically and simultaneously, the father is often absent, literally or emotionally. Through absence or action, the father eventually reveals that he is neither a king nor a god, but a human being with many flaws and wounds. He is both the guardian and one who leaves us to the wolves, here yet gone. The champion and the failure. The father can never resolve or escape this duality. It is inherent in the archetype itself. Witnessing the father's limitations allows a child to grow beyond the family and into the world. That's beautiful. Become a student of this masculine energy. Watch the father in movies and Shakespeare plays. See the father as a pattern, not as personal. And then when light, supportive, strategic, regal, kind, authority. When dark, disappearing, disappointing, devastated by failures. Go deeper. Saturn devouring his son by both Peter Paul Rubens and Francisco Goya. So obviously that's a book. Read poems about the father. Sharon Olds' His Stillness. William Blake's Little Boy Lost. Interesting how, you know, like that just ties the poet into this. So, so the situation could, of course, involve a father. You might have a father wound. You might have, like, your father might be the person or the you know, the person who you perceive to be the fatherly energy, maybe the one who's causing you to hesitate or causing you to not want to pursue this creative idea that you have. It doesn't necessarily have to be your actual father. I mean, I have dated guys that very much had the same energy as my father, just in the way that they made me feel, the way that they like reacted to jokes that I made. It was really weird. What's his name? Freud. Was that who it was? That talks about like you end up with your father if you're female, you end up with your mother if you're male. Anyway, that's why I'm divorced twice. So let's see what the mountain, just gonna skate right over there, but seriously, that is part of the reason why I'm divorced twice, because I refuse to be married to somebody who makes me feel like my father. Here we go. The mountain. The mountain stands eternally in our awareness, calling us toward its peak. It stirs up stoic and regal feelings, reminding us of the long line of spirits, sages, sadhus, and gods that make their humble thrones within its snowy peaks. Beware, though, as the mountain can affect us in two ways. It can inspire and enliven us to rise to the heights and peak experience, yet it can also create isolation, competitiveness, and an inflated sense of self. Standing upon its heights can activate the purest and the perfectionist in us, creating separation from those we deem to be below. No matter how high you ascend, remember that it is within the core of the mountain that the gems, minerals, and jewels reside. If you think it's all about going up, you're following the fool's path and missing the miner's magic. Contemplate Joseph Campbell's suggestion. You are the central mountain, and the central mountain is everywhere. When light, you're grounded in the eternal, steadfast, uplifting. When dark, ominous, daunting, isolating, frigid. Go deeper. Mary Oliver's The Poet's The Poet Dreams of the Mountain. Research mountains. Find one that strikes you and stare at it for a while. Where is it? The pilgrim may be awakening in you. The summit calls. Well, that's interesting. Isn't it so funny how all of these seem to come together, and this poetry thing is like, it keeps coming back to poetry. So, you know, I mean, you could be a writer, you could be a poet. I mean, you know, I'm just going to throw that out there. Obviously it doesn't have to, because again, with the poet's card was talking about not being afraid and putting your creativity out there. And to me, this kind of like, you know, bringing what's in the shadow out into the light. Let me go back to this poet's card, because like I said, I can't hold a memory to save my life. Let's see. For seeing the big picture, yeah. It's possible that others may not seem to listen or care what the poet's work or about the poet's work, but don't be discouraged. It's like, this to me has the energy of like, you know, when there's something in you, and this might be why you are feeling a little stuck and you're kind of listening to this video about what do I do? Because it's like, you know that whatever this thing is for you, that is literally the core of who you are. And if you don't share it, whatever it is, like if you don't share it, you know that it would be like, life would be a slow suicide. And please, you know, I'm just going to say it. If you need some help as far as suicide goes, there are amazing programs out there to assist you with that. I just have to say that out loud. Because anytime I bring up the word suicide, I'm like, disclaimer. Please get help, because you need to be here with us. So that's what, you know, but the point that I'm making is that, you know, it is literally the core of who you are. And if you do not do this thing because somebody might not get it, or because maybe the climb is too extensive. Let me go back to now the mountain. Is that bridge? Ooh. Here we go. Yeah. Because again, so, you know, if you do not express yourself, then it could lead to, you know, it says it can go two different ways. It can inspire you. It can enliven us to rise to new heights and peak experience. Hello. Yes, absolutely. Or if you don't express it because whoever this is or whatever this is, a friend group, you know, whatever the case may be, because they don't get it and because you're more worried about them getting it than you are about expressing yourself, then you fall into, it can also create isolation, competitiveness, and an inflated sense of self. This is, you know, not being in your integrity. This is like being jealous that other people can express themselves the way that they want to, but you can't because of this person. And this person, whoever this is, you know, they're not going to change their mind regardless of how many different ways you try to explain it to them. These people need to be shown, you know, like they need to be shown that this is going to work, that you being exactly who you are and expressing yourself exactly how you are creates this inspiration and takes you to new heights and peak experiences, right? Like, because all they can see is like, oh my, you know, I'm gonna place my limits on you because I'm worried, like I wouldn't take the same risk that you would take, or that I wouldn't be able to take the same risk that you would have to take in order to get here. Fuck that. No, they can hold on to their limiting beliefs. And then lastly, here we have the bridge. Bridges are built to connect two worlds. They create flow, allowing us to travel between realms, ideologies, personalities. This archetype is a gesture of acceptance, saying yes rather than withdrawing, separating, and saying no. Hello? When we cross a bridge to the unknown land, we are led magically into a new reality. We open up to otherness. Healing and communication are made possible. We enter a state of curiosity, wonder, and learning. The shaman, for example, creates the bridge between the everyday world and the sacred. This card asks us to study the connections between the seemingly disconnected parts of our life, relationships, ideologies, and histories. Remember that a bridge can't be forced. It must be made with love, or its structure will not withstand the inevitable weather of life. Lie on the floor and listen to Bridge Over Troubled Water. Notice the ease and acceptance within the melody, the feeling of rising above the muck. When light, acceptance, magic, and communication. When dark, lacking boundaries, forcing connection. Go deeper. Bifrost, the burning rainbow bridge of Norse mythology. Imagine building a bridge. Then imagine building a wall. Which energy is needed for the situation at hand? Which image softens and heals the heart? This is absolutely beautiful. Because again, you know, we have two hands here. This almost looks like a child's hand. This almost looks like an adult hand. I'm just going to say that. So this whole situation, right? And like what I was just saying about needing to say yes, right? Like, but it's like saying yes to yourself. And it's like, you know, through your honest, authentic expression of yourself, you're going to build this bridge with this father figure, whoever it is. Again, it could be an actual father. It could be a partner. It could be your friends, whatever the case may be. Right? But you create this bridge, not built on resentment and guilt and anger, but like out of love for yourself, because you did this and got here for yourself, not out of spite, but literally because there's no other way for you to live. And in doing so, it creates this bridge. This person sees it. They're like, oh, huh, yeah, no, that's not at all how I thought it was going to go. And you over here, standing in this cave up here in this mountain, you're like, I knew exactly how this was going to go, because this is exactly who I am. And now you forged this bridge between you and this other person. Beautiful. Yes. Come on, poet. Get out there and start saying yes to stuff. Thank you so much for being here. Bye.